Jaws dropped on Capitol Hill yesterday after Louisiana Senator John Kennedy had the mic during the Senate Judiciary Committee's hearing titled Book Bans, examining how censorship limits liberty in literature. According to reports, Kennedy read from two sexually graphic books that were and possibly still are on school shelves here in the States. The names of those books are All Boys Aren't Blue and Genderqueer, a Memoir. Take a listen to some of the passages in these books, and I do have to warn you, it's quite graphic.
I put some lube on and got him on his knees, and I began to slide into him from behind. He got on top and slowly inserted himself into me. It was the worst pain I think I have ever felt in my life. Eventually, I felt a mix of pleasure with the pain. Close quote. All Boys Aren't Blue. The second is another much discussed book. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's called Genderqueer. Okay. Let me read an excerpt from that. Quote, I got a new strap-on harness today.
Wow. I am an adult and I feel extremely uncomfortable listening to that. Yet, of course, we have to remember the radical left wants books like these on library shelves for children to check out and read on their own time. This is pornography. It's being shoved on children. It's disgusting. It's grooming, and it must be stopped. We now go to Bobby Sausalito with his reaction. Comedian and political commentator Bobby, wow. What do you make of this?
I love how I'm on for this segment. I think that it's troubling to say the least, and the fact that you have to beep out words that appear in a children's book that appeared like that are on television should tell the story in and of itself. Yeah. I think it's pretty sad that they want to push this on people. When I was in 4th grade, I remember we had one class. It was maybe an hour and a half long where the teacher explained the basics, like growing chest hair and how you're going to become a man, etc. And the girls watched something about giving birth. It was one day, one class. And I learned the rest of the things on my own, in my own research, talking to family and friends. And that's it. And there was no problem and has never been. The fact that this has to be in a school library is completely unnecessary and just lends itself to how insane pretty much every policy that they put forward actually is.
I agree. It is so far out of control, and the fact that the entire curriculum virtually revolves around sexual activity for children who don't really need to know anything of the sort really at the ages they are presenting this to. It's just baffling to see this, and like you said, it used to be one day, one class, 1 hour, and now it's just the entire school system has resorted to this. It's just depravity, and it's so sad to see. While we're talking about really uncomfortable situations, Bobby, Susanna Gibson, Democrat candidate running for Virginia's House of Delegates and mother of 2 children, mind you, was caught streaming sex acts online with her husband while soliciting money. Bobby, what a sick world we live in. I mean, do you think anyone will actually care? Will this bar her from running, or will this depraved Democrat get another free pass like they typically always do?
Well, I will say this might be an uncomfortable point for people that are on our side or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I don't particularly think that a person's personal life needs to be involved in this. I think that you can do things in the privacy of your own home that should not necessarily bar you or count you out of being a public servant. However, on the other side of it, I do think that it's important that people talk about this story and cover it, because probably the lowest common denominator, like the lowest thing that you could possibly do to gain an income would be this. Yeah. Selling the most explicit thing that you possibly could. It's like almost like selling drugs. It's at that level. Yeah. So it's like if this person wants to be a public servant that people look up to, then it's like if she'll do this for money, it makes you kind of wonder what else they would be willing to do for money as well. I don't think it should bar her, but I do think it's important that people know that this is happening. But it does definitely lend a vision of her true character.
Yeah, I agree. And it's sad to see that these are so-called leaders, or wannabe leaders rather, because what kind of example does that set to the youth. I mean, we already have an ongoing issue of young girls dropping out of college to pursue a career on OnlyFans, so it just sets a terrible example, and I think it's rather despicable. I actually referenced this earlier in the show, but I think it's an appropriate time to once again remind us all of the platform on which Democrats run and brag about now, and that is, of course, pot, porn, and Planned Parenthood. The 3 Ps are courtesy of John Fetterman's wife, Giselle, so I thought we should remind everyone of that again. But, you know, I guess performing sex acts for donations isn't really a whole lot different from being a politician in today's world, so it's not all too shocking to me. In other despicable news, 53-year-old Clinton Monroe Ellis Gilmore, a member of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, the anti-Catholic drag queen group that was recently honored by the Los Angeles Dodgers, was reportedly arrested last month for public masturbation. Are we at all surprised here? I can't say I am. I just don't know why a Major League Baseball team is supporting this debauchery. What do you think's going on here, Bobby?
Well, that's the thing is this is like a demoralization exercise. It's just like, how much can they demoralize the respect or credibility of the office or of a theoretical leader than to put these types of people in and test your patience to see how far they could demoralize you? Because really what they want is they want us confused. They want the kids to think that their parents are so stupid that they can't figure this stuff out. And they want everybody to be completely in the most degenerate state imaginable because they're the easiest to manipulate. That's why they put people like this forward as a person that should be respected or looked up to. And then there they are cranking one out in their car in broad daylight. It's like, these are the types of people that they're putting forward because they want to see how far they can go it and that or can push it. And that's why they put a person like John Fetterman in office. They're like, if we could just like heave like a lifeless bag of meat over the finish line and have him walk into office wearing what you would be embarrassed to wear to your local gas station, then why would anybody look up to this office? Why would anybody respect it? Why would you even pay attention to it or think that it's even relevant or that they're a leader? The idea is that you see them, you feel disenfranchised by it, and then you say, you know what, I'm going to go live my life. And then meanwhile, they can run amok. So they just put this brainless, lifeless guy in there, and then you don't pay attention anymore. That's exactly what they want.
I think that's a great point. I think that is exactly what they want. And I think it's also very clearly a spiritual battle. This is clearly a battle of good versus evil. And anyone who's on the other side, I don't know, I just got to say Judgment Day is coming soon. So I would suggest you get right with the Lord while we still have time. Bobby, we're all out of time for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you for more?
Followbobby.com.
Thank you so much.